I've been playing a lot of this game called Retrorewind lately, and basically in it, you run your own video rental store, and it's gotten me thinking about my personal past experiences back in the day with video rental stores. I think I have a fairly unique experience with these stores. I'm a Gen Z, not decently, a fairly late Gen Z, the late 2000s. So the major chains that people think of like Blockbuster were already shutting down by the time I was even born. So you wouldn't think that I would have a lot of experience with these video rental stores, but the reality is I actually do. There's a unique chain that was specific mainly to the Midwest that actually outlasted all the other major chains, including Blockbuster, by like an entire decade. And I, of course, am talking about Family Video. And like I basically just said, Family Video, for those who don't know, is basically just like the Midwest version of what Blockbuster is. Just a major video game and, movie DVD rental store. And Family Video lasted a lot longer as a chain than Blockbuster. The last one didn't shut down until 2022, which means they beat Blockbuster by like a decade. And Blockbuster's like the main one that people picture in their head when you think of movie rental stores. It's one of mine as well, and I never even went to a Blockbuster. But it is true in the end, there is still that one last Blockbuster in like Oregon, in a random town in Oregon. So they did technically outlast Family Video, because that one store in Oregon is still around, but as like a major chain, Family Video outlasted them by a mile. But there are no more Family Videos left, which is very sad for me to think about. And I've been doing a little bit of research, and by research I did like 2 Google searches, but it's pretty easy to pick up on why Family Video managed to outlast Blockbuster as a chain for so long. They had different kind of business strategies from the very start of going into this type of business. Blockbuster chose to manage their locations through renting. They didn't own the locations, they rented from someone else. So it's easy to see when the decline in video rental started to happen, they were impacted more than Family Video. Because in contrast, Family Video didn't rent for the most part. I'm sure there were some locations they did rent, but their main strategy was buying these plots of land. They owned the land and the building on them, so it was a lot easier for them to stay afloat. The people and like the guy basically behind Family Video really just used video rental, and specifically Family Video, as a way to expand their real estate portfolios, which is very interesting. And once the 2010s hit and video rentals and video game rentals hit the decline, Family Video stayed afloat because of their real estate strategy. A decent portion of their money was made through the real estate. They owned the locations, so they had further control of what went on there. And a lot of them, I think a majority of Family Videos, had a piece of the building that they would rent out to someone else, like pizza places or even like weed stores, dispensaries. It was very common to see a Family Video directly connected to not even connected, another store inside of the Family Video. In the same way that you see with like Walmart, you go in there, there'll be like a Subway, a Domino's, whatever at the front. So they made a good amount of money already from letting these other companies come in and rent a portion of the store that they were inside of. And that allowed them to also take a share of their revenue. So they weren't just relying on the videos, the movie and video game rentals. They also made money from the pizza or like the weed in the stores that they were also selling. So they managed to survive the initial decline in movie and game rentals. But as I'm sure you can imagine, with them closing the final stores in 2022, I'm sure you can imagine that the thing that put the nail in the coffin that was a long time coming was COVID. They managed to stay afloat during the initial decline, but once COVID hit, even the people that were dedicated to being against streaming services, even those people, they couldn't go out to these family videos due to COVID. So once you lose your dedicated fan base, or your dedicated consumer base rather, you can't stay afloat. It's really a tragic story because the streaming services had already begun the decline in game and movie rentals, but COVID really nailed the coffin in for family video. But I still have my memories of family video, and I'm sure many people out there have their memories of family video. The chain was pretty expansive. It expanded over the Midwest. I'm not exactly sure how big of a chain it was, but I think it was decently large, and they were a pretty decent player in the video rental world. But I remember as a kid in the 2010s, late 2000s also, I was in that rental store of the family video in my town all the time. My parents got divorced when I was young, and I went over to my dad's house on the weekends, and he would pick me and my sister up, and he would take us to the family video basically every weekend that we were going to his house. Every Friday night we'd go in there, pick out our movies, I'd get some games, and then our family video had a Little Caesars right a couple stores over. It was a part of a strip mall, but it wasn't inside it like I was talking about earlier. They were disconnected, but we would rent our movies and games, and then we'd go get a pizza from Little Caesars. We'd go home and we'd have an awesome Friday night. That's the perfect formula back in the day for a perfect Friday night, especially for a kid or for a divorced dad with his kids on the weekend. It's really sad, actually. The family video that I went to, it shut down years ago. It got replaced by a BMV. I see people online complaining about their family videos. In their town, they got replaced by some lame store. Mine's arguably the worst. They got replaced by a dang BMV. I was a kid. I'm not a kid when it got replaced, but I wasn't driving at that point, I don't think. So I don't know where the BMV was before that, but it got replaced by the BMV, one of the worst places to go to. One of the unique things I do remember, specifically this is a core memory of mine, is that in the family video they had these gumball machines, and every day or maybe every week there'd be a different color on the label of the gumball machine. It'd be like white, pink, whatever. And if you got that colored gumball from the gumball machine, you got a free video rental, which it really was only a couple dollars worth of value, and it was like a 1 in 5 or 6 gamble that you'd get it. But that was awesome. So every time I'd go there, I'd get these gumballs, and they were the worst kind of gumballs. They'd run out of flavor in 10 seconds. But I remember always competing with my sister, who's gonna get the gumball, and it was always a sad day when she got it over me. But even though it wasn't that big of a value you got out of it, you felt so good when you got the colored gumball, the correct one from the machine. But they had all kinds of movies. They always had the new releases. They had the 18 plus room, which I never went into, and I'm never going to be able to experience that because I wasn't 18. I wasn't anywhere close to 18 when they were open. I looked it up before the start of this video, actually. My specific family video closed in January of 2021. So mine was at the initial wave of them closing. I didn't even, mine was closed early on. One of the iconic things that I saw in my research is that apparently a lot of these family videos had the iconic pillar in the front of the store. I'm pretty sure that mine didn't have that. I have no memory of that ever being there. It's not there now. I can't imagine that they'd remove it. Maybe they would. I don't remember that ever being a thing. Mine was a unique one. I can't imagine they owned the land there. It was a part of a strip mall. I'm pretty sure that specific one was rented. So that's probably part of the reason why it got closed earlier on than other ones. And it's directly in the middle of town. You know, it was a good spot. I can imagine that people would want to suck up that spot. I guess the BMV really wanted that spot. They were ready to push him out of there, you know, when push came to shove. But they also had video game rentals, which was awesome as a kid. You know, when I'd go there on a Friday night, we'd get the movies that I watch with my family, but then I'd also get my own games. I remember basically every week I would go there and rent a copy of Minecraft. And I got it for the PlayStation 3. That's what I was playing at the time. And every time I went there, I'd walk in there, I'd rent the Minecraft, I'd go home, and I remember every time I'd be really hoping that I got the same one, because I really want the same copy of it, because I need my world. I don't want to have to start over. I hope I get the same copy. And every time I got lucky, I got the same copy, or at least that's what I thought in my head, when in reality I kind of thought about it years later, and I was being kind of stupid because the PS3 saves the game data on the PlayStation, not on the discs like I thought back in the day. So there really wasn't a worry. I just couldn't imagine a world where the game data would be stored on the PlayStation. I just really thought that it was disc dependent. But thank you for listening to me rant about this. Let me know in the comments, you have any stories or memories of Family Video or Blockbuster or any video rental store. Let me hear them. I'll read every comment. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I hope you have a wonderful day.